In studio now, Tony Colon. Good morning, Tony. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
Glad to have you in. First of all, I'll start with Puerto Rico 51. Will Puerto Rico become our 51st state?
A lot depends on what goes on in Washington.
Yeah.
As I think you know, Bill, Puerto Rico has had several plebiscites, which are votes within the populace to decide, or at least to inquire further with Congress.
I know they passed it again, but was it an overwhelming passage?
It wasn't overwhelming, but it certainly passed.
And Puerto Rico's running into has some severe economic problems.
Exactly. In fact, if it was a state, it would be receiving a lot more support than it can right now. Because of the fact that it's not a state. I am in favor of it statehood, but what you'll see is as long as we have a Republican president and Congress, I don't think you'll see it.
Okay.
Because I believe Puerto Rico would go and swing to the Democratic side as far as two additional senators and 2 or 3 members of Congress. And as long as that
not going to happen,
it's been a discussion. Certainly, with the old timers like my folks, they were in favor of keeping it as it is, or maybe even going independent.
Okay.
But I am of the generation now that says, I think there's, we've waited long enough. I think it's we fulfill what the original intent was to become a 51st state.
Cockfighting. This has been a crazy story, and who would have known this was even going on in the area? But apparently, a lot of people knew about it.
Well, what goes on, and certainly as you travel. Anywhere there's a large Latino or Hispanic community around the country and maybe around the world, there's certainly, we can talk about that as well. But there generally is some illegal cockfighting. As you know, it's now illegal in all 50 states in the federal law also. But what you have is that within our culture, that is just as folks go out and fish and others go out and hunt. We have, we raise, in fact, I had an uncle who raised cocks for fighting. Sure.
And you say, why are they going with this? Do we just not like the word cock? Is that why it is, it's all of a sudden bird fighting?
I kind of laughed when I saw bird fighting as it was first announced, and I'm saying, no, these are just cockfighters. In fact, the word cockfighter, that is within even the boxing realm, the word bantam actually comes from cockfighting.
Yeah.
So what you have is certainly something that's been going on for thousands of years. It's been all over Europe. Certainly, as Magellan traveled, I did a little research on this as we were getting ready for this. And it turns out Magellan found a cockfighting taking place in the Philippines as he traveled.
Okay.
So this now Puerto Rico is the capital of cockfighting. It's $1 billion industry.
Really?
That's why you see, for example, the fellas trying to break in and rescue these birds. I believe it was
some
because
investment
you had
there.
some champions that were probably within this group.
Well, there we go, because that was my Manasseh. That's what we were talking about.
Right.
Like could you imagine if the government came in and said, we've just arrested all of these horse traders and horse breeders and these thoroughbreds. We've given them to the Herkimer or the Saratoga County Humane Society, and they're going to protect these horses. Well, you can count on it that these people will be breaking back in to get these horses back.
Absolutely, that's what you got going on, I'm sure. At the end of the day,
wow,
it's like anything else that we have established in this community with so many different cultures in our community. You're going to find these interesting topics come up every so often.
So could we have a compromise where instead of razor blades on the claws, we do boxing gloves on the gloves of the chickens? Little mini boxing gloves.
I'm sure that probably wouldn't work, but
Tony, I want to ask you: have you ever been to a cockfight?
Yes, I have. In fact, as I was talking to you before we got on the air, every summer I would go down to Puerto Rico and stay with uncles. And there is, as you fly into San Juan, the airport, you actually fly over the Gallero, which is where this takes place. It's right in the San Juan, in the capital, and folks
it's a
go
part
there.
of establishment.
It's a stadium. It's actually a little. It's a little stadium.
Is it like an arena?
It's actually an arena.
Do you know about how many people it holds? Do you have to pay to get into these, or do you just go to wager?
You go to see. Some folks just go to see just like you would go to a basketball game or a football game. There's folks that just go and visit the area, and then as they're there, they'll go and maybe place a wager.
Yeah,
and it's all parimutuel. And in the
I'm
same
sure
fashion,
there is a little bio to show you which one has.
Well, I don't know if it's that sophisticated, but yes, there's those that are in the know when it comes to cockfighting know the breeds, and certainly know the winners and the champions, and that's what they follow. They actually follow the birds.
That's interesting.
Wow. And I'm assuming that those that own the birds have some wealth. Is that true?
They're generally, it's just like when you have in Puerto Rico also the Paso Fino and there's a cultural difference. Socioeconomically, I think you have a lower strata in cockfighting, but it's generally a gentleman's game.
Yeah.
There's a lot of this betting that goes on is basically a handshake or a gentleman's agreement. And then it's gotten a little more sophisticated when it came to the betting. But at the end of the day, you can go and watch it and not be involved in any of the betting. It's just
nor are you involved in any illegalities at all.
Not in Puerto Rico.
Right.
Puerto Rico, it's illegal. Yeah. It's a legal enterprise.
So, boy, that's and I compared it to cows in India. Sure. Or in some parts of Asia where dogs or cats are consumed, and that is considered just part of the culture. Correct. Here, I could see Kim Strong running around trying to find somebody that killed a dog and consumed it, and they want him arrested. So that's really what we're dealing with.
Yes, in fact, that's how I compare it to depending on where you're raised and where you grow up. This would be, in fact, when I first heard about this, I kind of chuckled, thinking that it's not uncommon to find it within anywhere you find Latinos.
Isn't it like us though to try to lessen the blow by changing the language?
Yeah,
because you're not a postman anymore. You're a what do we call it?
A mail carrier.
Mail carrier.
But it's not cockfighting; it's bird fighting.
Well. Okay.
I even called when I called Tony to invite him on yesterday. I said, Tony, want to talk to you about the bird fighting. He said, no, it's cockfighting.
Yeah, and it's cultural. It's part of the culture. Very interesting.
Tony, I actually have two questions for you.
Sure.
One is, I'm assuming it is. Is it always a fight to the death?
Well, what happens
is that how they determine a winner, or are there judges who?
They generally the bird that's disabled. Let's put it that way. Sometimes the bird does not die, but it's so injured. The injuries are so severe that they have to stop the fight, or the fight stops just automatically when the bird just drops.
Wow.
And then my other question.
It's brutal. There's no doubt. It's brutal.
Yes,
right?
It is.
Yeah.
Someone actually texted in. How is it legal in Puerto Rico? Isn't Puerto Rico under federal U.S. law?
Yes, that's correct. And there's once again a dichotomy of local law versus federal law.
So, like similar to Colorado and California, where they've legalized marijuana, there's still the federal.
I've always defended the bookies that get slammed here when the feds, which is reversed, when the feds collect taxes on them. And the state comes in and takes all their money and nails some Super Bowl betting ring that's going on.
Yes.
Same thing there. It's a conflict between federal and state law.
The closest thing that, and certainly as you've traveled through Mexico or Spain, if you've been to a bullfight, that's certainly something that's culturally accepted. Yeah. And Mexico is another big area for cockfighting as well.
How about Michael Vick?
Vick?
Let's think about the dog fighting. And again, we heard a lot about that when he was arrested. That this is cultural. These people were brought up. This is what they did.
You go down south. That's in fact that there's dog fighting going on right now.
Yeah.
So there's no. Certainly the Michael Vick situation certainly. Brought it to light and enlightened some individuals that weren't aware of what was going on. But that's a big business.
My take on this might be based on the culture I was raised in. But I see dogfighting as 10 times worse than cockfighting. I've never been to a cockfight, never been around it, but I have to admit that as I view it, I view it as much less, I don't know what I want to say, devious or something than dogfighting.
Right.
You know, where you hear
we've all seen a dog fight, right? I mean, if you've had a dog, you've seen your dog get into a fight, and it's pretty brutal. There's no doubt. But I think the cockfighting is for people that aren't. The problem is you have people that don't understand the culture who are going to be disgusted by it, and if you've grown up with it, like for instance, I hate to say it, you're going to get this in the hunting world. I was brought up in a family where deer hunting was a part of tradition. It's something, but there are families that weren't brought up that way and find it to be just horrific, and it should be stopped in their eyes. I mean, it's the same type of thing.
That's where you have to, as part of the attempt from the city's perspective, and certainly I chair the access and inclusion, and certainly for the county. And when it comes to the city and this access to the opportunities that we have in this community, part of it is also to enrich the cultural differences within our community, and this is part of culture.
Yeah,
and that's really the bottom line.
I got a guy here, Mike, saying when I was in Korea, dog fighting is a part of their culture. They have Korean fighting dogs, and that's certainly a part of it. Also saying maybe instead of bird fighting, we'd call it feather fighting. That would lighten it up a little bit. You like that?
Yeah.
Feather fighting?
Sure.
All right. And quickly, a Boilermaker coming up with what we're calling the Unity Mile.
That's right.
And I'm really excited about this.
This is wonderful. It's a great attempt to include portions of our community, again, as we try to expand the reach of the Boilermaker into other parts of the community.
Yeah.
I think this is a wonderful way of doing it.
And when you look at the Boilermaker, it's just all different colors. It's and that's just not about their clothing. It's about the color of their skin. It's all different people that are running in this race. But that one stretch, so this would be right along as you're going up towards the Armory and in that area. It's being asked that people come out and cultural groups come out and line the streets with your own culture.
It's my understanding we'll have food and some local beverages, and
I may have to stop by
important.
at that while I'm running.
Yeah.
I have to just take a little pit stop.
Make a little pit stop there. So.
Of course. So we love to have you.
All right.
Thank you for the opportunity. This is wonderful, and I think once again another example of the various cultures within our community and getting to know each other a little better.
Tony Colon, thanks so much.